traditional opening for this one. Do you want to start?
Yes. Hi, I'm Ben.
Oops, I wasn't ready. I had just burped in my mouth.
Oh no. Is it going to be another? I thought we'd gotten over this giggliness.
Yeah, we're professionals now.
For a long, yeah, we don't, it's true. We haven't been too giggly at the opening in a long time. All right. Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Ernie.
And this is Budget Nerds.
It was all in your mind.
You are not alone.
No, you are not. Well, Ernie, it's our 100th episode today. 100 Budget Nerds.
My goodness. That is honestly shocking to me.
Yeah. When we started this back in 2020, when things were weird, we were like trying out a lot of new things because I remember that year we had all these plans for content and then like we had to throw it all out because it was like horribly insensitive now because everybody's lives were totally different. And yeah, we were just, so I think we were in this mode where we were just like trying out new things. And yeah, we did not expect it to be such a thing for 4 years, but here we are. So,
and that was my first year on the marketing team. I had been with support. And then I came on board as a teacher. And at the time, Erin was my supervisor. And one of the first things she told me, Ernie, you've got to find some other project besides teaching. Because if you're just going to teach, you're going to burn out really quick. So we were brainstorming, what else could I do? And this idea came up, not having any idea if it would take off.
Yeah.
But in the back of my head, I was really hoping to get to this point, episode 100, because I've always had 3 placeholders in the episode name, at least internally.
Oh.
I don't think it's that way on the podcast or on YouTube.
When we're like in our notes.
Yeah, in our notes, it's episode 001. And I'm like,
he
okay.
always believed. He always believed.
We're going to get to 100. And I guess that means we can never get to 1,000. I don't believe that far, but we got to 100. That's a big
it's true.
goal.
You've always known. And that brings up something else. We're pretty sure this is the 100th episode. Awkward. But our notes say, so we have like, we use Asana, which is like a project management thing. And our notes say 100th episode, but we've changed management systems and the way we take notes over time. So like, this might be the 99th episode. I looked at the playlist because I was looking for this episode. We're going to do like a little bit of a postmortem this episode. I looked through our playlist on YouTube and there were only 86 episodes on the playlist. And I'm like, oh, like they're not all here. So I went through and I went through all the videos in YNAB. I just through the list and I like checked every single Budget Nerds episode. I was probably avoiding like work I actually didn't want to do. And I checked every single one and added a bunch. I was like, okay, great. We got them all. And then I looked and there was 98. And then Ernie was like, oh, maybe it's the live episodes. So I checked and there was one that wasn't on there. So now there's 99 on that list. And I don't know where, or no, wait.
No, number 99 is you change your budget. And that hasn't been released yet.
We got it. No, okay, it says 98 episodes. So I found 98 episodes. So then there's that one. This is the 100th episode.
Okay.
We did it. Okay.
Honestly.
I was expecting there to be 100 because if you ever recorded a podcast, you have to live in the future. Like, I didn't think about the ones that haven't come out yet because we record them and then I think they're done because Trent handles the editing. Thanks, Trent. And but they're not done. They're not out yet. Anyways.
Oh my goodness. I never even considered that, Ben.
Oh, brother.
Man, and we're just...
we were like, there's only 98. Where are the other 2? We haven't even recorded the 100th one yet. All right. Oh my gosh. I'm a mess.
Okay, yeah. So Ben changes his budget. That will be the 99th on the playlist. And then this one, when it releases on, what's the date? October 2nd? Yes. Okay. Honestly, I feel better about life right now. That was really eating me up. eating me up. I was like,
It's like, oh, we're just gonna have to make a joke about how we can track all our cash in a cash account, but we can't track how many episodes we've done. But no, we did. We're good at this. We did track how many episodes we've done. We did a good job. So,
okay,
funny. Okay,
I honestly do feel better about life. So I feel like I can go on with this episode now.
So this is indeed the 100th episode. So what we're doing is we thought we do a clips episode. You know what I mean? Like you're watching an old sitcom and there's like a clips episode where they like reminisce and they show clips. But we're not going to show clips, but we're going to talk about some old episodes and just kind of go down memory lane a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to go through most viewed, least viewed, Ben's favorite, my favorite, the video with the most comments, and then we're going to talk a little bit about our first episode way back in 2020.
First ever episode. Yeah. So those are the categories. Let's get into it. What's the most viewed by a long shot? The most viewed episode.
Yeah, this is no surprise to me. Emergency fund versus a month ahead. So we had done an episode on month ahead versus aggressive debt payoff. Which one do you prioritize?
Yeah.
And I think that one went over pretty well. So then we're like, all right, let's throw in another topic. Emergency fund versus month ahead. What do you prioritize in this situation? And I actually, it just took off.
I am surprised because I think the other one would have done better. Like whether you pay off debt or you build an emergency fund. Was that what it was? Debt or emergency fund? Or debt, the debt or month ahead?
No, debt or a month ahead.
Okay, I thought that one would do better. But I think this has got some SEO stuff going on too. Like if you have like a good verse in the title, I feel like that's going to be good.
Yeah.
But I think the topic is just something people think about a lot. And it's a little controversial because at YNAB, we don't emphasize the emergency fund as the end all be all quite as much. And I think that's kind of fun. So yeah, it has like almost double the amount of views as the second on the list.
Yeah, it's crazy. And this is the episode, and I don't know if this contributed to it, but it's the episode where you blew people's minds and you told them budgets aren't real.
They're not real. It's a social construct. It's not really even a social construct. It's a construct that you made. It's useful, but it's not real. So you can change it. You can, and the reason why I brought that up was because I was trying to get people to experiment, like just because you have an emergency fund category doesn't mean you can't get a month ahead. Like I think there's a lot of people that have a month's income or more in an emergency fund category, and they could just take it out and put that into next month and boom, they're a month ahead. And if you believe that, but if you believe that your budget is rigid because it's this real thing, then that can't be changed. I'm talking to myself here. Then you might be less likely to experiment. So budgets aren't real. Do what you want. Change it. It's okay.
Do what you want. Yeah, change it. Experiment. Because you can always go back later on.
Yeah. I think that's been Budget Nerds for like the past like year as talking about experimenting a little bit. Like I feel like we've heard that in YNAB Wins a lot. We've talked about it a lot. I just think that's something I want for people.
Yes.
Especially if you've been using YNAB for a long time and you're set in your ways. Like just try something different because budgets aren't real. You can change it, right?
Because that's how you figure out what works and what doesn't. It's how you figure out what you like, what you don't like. So I'm all for experimenting. I mean, this is just a life principle in general. I'm thinking about all my lawn projects that I do. Do I know what I'm doing out there? Not really. I'm kind of just, doing whatever, and I'm seeing what works. I'm seeing what doesn't, and I'm adjusting my next project.
Are you still cutting them with scissors, like you are?
In certain places, you have to.
So we have like Ernie did this presentation at YNAB because we do like presentations about random things sometimes, and it was about lawn care, and he implied heavily that he uses hedge clippers to clip every single bit of his lawn, which isn't true. But
I don't think I implied that at all. There was a clip of me clipping the edge of my yard, like a fence line with some hand clippers. And the only reason I was using hand clippers is because I didn't have a string trimmer.
Okay. And everybody just latched onto it. It's like Ernie clips his whole lawn with the clippers. So there's I don't know if you've ever used Slack, but you can have like custom emojis, and there's an emoji reaction called Ernie, and it's just a pair of hedge clippers.
It's kind of like the bathtub thing, right? Like, okay, we'll go with it. Sure, it's true.
Yeah, exactly. If you say it enough, it becomes true. Which we realize, and I mean, maybe we should skip to this, but we realized the bath thing. If anybody doesn't know, Ernie loves the monthly rollover, and you have a whole system, right?
Yeah.
You're still doing that.
It's like a whole night.
You reconcile everything. Yeah, and the way you talk about it is like, it's just like a Zen thing for you.
Something that I look forward to. Yeah, everything has to be just right.
And so I said that. I was like, oh, Ernie's getting in his bathtub with his rubber duckies and his computer, and there's candles, and he's relaxing, and he's reconciling accounts, right? So created this image, which is dubious. And we realized when preparing for this episode that was from the first episode of Budget Nerds.
Yeah.
Came out on August 24th, 2020. Because Ernie described, we were talking about our budget routines, and Ernie described that, and I said, oh, imagine you in the bubble bath, and it just kept since then. Yeah. So I just love that was like our first, like the first like Budget Nerds inside joke was on the first episode was when it started. I just love it.
Yeah, if you would have asked me, I would have guessed that probably came in a year into it, 6 months
I just
maybe.
Couldn't let it go, man.
But first episode,
couldn't let it go. It was such a thing. So, anyways, but we'll talk about that a little more later. Yeah, but should we talk about emergency fund versus month ahead? Just like what that was about. I mean, we talked about budgets aren't real and experimentation, but it really is just a question of whether or not you should focus on month ahead or emergency fund first, or whether you should even have an emergency fund, especially if you're a month ahead. Right.
Yeah, and I think the reason we could pose this question is because YNAB's rule 2, we're embracing the true expenses, right? We're taking this vague emergency fund and we're just getting really specific. Oh, I'm setting money aside for car repairs, home repairs, vet bills, med bills, all those types of things. And as you do that, that emergency fund becomes less of a necessity. So is there a different job for those dollars? Is there something else you could do with your buffer, with that breathing room that you've created in the budget by embracing your true expenses?
Yeah. And we still like emergency funds, but I think we might have talked about this in another episode too. I think the emergency fund is really just an income replacement. It's like an income loss kind of thing. But it's also there if your rule 2 stuff gets overwhelmed, I mean, I just did that because we had a $6,000 tax bill earlier this year, and I don't know what I did wrong. Here's something horribly wrong.
And you've been harping on, the water company, the banks, and the escrow department for like 4 years now, and here it is coming back to bite you.
I know. It's all my fault ultimately. I just have to admit it. But like, yeah, I didn't change anything, so I don't know what happened. Anyways, and I'm literally, so we used the emergency fund for part of that. So I'm literally in the process of building that back up as I also save for next year, just in case there's another tax bill. But I don't know if there will be because I don't know. I do the IRS stuff. I do the withholding calculator. I do it all. And it's still wrong. I don't know, man. I give up.
Yeah. It is frustrating.
It's like, anybody with me? Like, why is it so? First of all, why is it so complicated? But like, why is it? Whatever. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into it. Get into any more than I already am. So yeah, all that to say, like, I did use emergency fund for something other than income replacement. So I think there is something there. But if you're a month ahead, like that is an emergency fund. The ultimate reason why they're the same is it's just cash in your accounts, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying it's one versus the other, but like what's a higher priority? And we argued in that episode, month ahead is a higher priority.
Yeah, so. I agree. Just because, I mean, mechanically, YNAB, cash flow, it just becomes so much easier when you're that month
Your
ahead.
whole life changes. I mean, it's funny because like I feel like we often are very like heady and like almost a little woo woo. Where like we're in our teaching where we're like, oh man, you're just gonna feel better about your spending and you're gonna like align yourself with who you are. But this is more about like, no, you can automate bills, you know, or like, you know, you don't have to time bills and paychecks. Like you do less bookkeeping. It's very practical. It's huge.
Something that I'm thinking through right now is I spend so much time at the grocery store. So much time. Like every Saturday, I go to Costco, and I really enjoy my visit to Costco, especially because it's still kind of a novelty to me. This is my first time experiencing Costco, but it's starting to wear off. You know, I've been doing this for 9 months now. And then after Costco, I go to the other grocery store. And so it's like 2.5 hours.
That's a whole thing.
Yeah, and the summer when it's super nice out, and you know, there's other things I want to do, and other things the family wants to do. So anyway, I'm like, and Christy's really been pushing me to do this. She's like, "Why do you go to Costco every single week? No one does that." Like, you know, they're doing the big hauls,
right?
She's like, "You should do
you do like once a month."
Yes,
at Costco.
one big haul every single month, and then you just go to the grocery store every week, and you just kind of fill in what you need.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that would really free up a lot of time. I couldn't do that big haul at Costco at the beginning of the month if I wasn't a month ahead. I could, going there and spending $300, $400, like buying a month's worth of Costco stuff, if I wasn't a month ahead, there's no way.
You wouldn't have the money.
I wouldn't have the money. Yeah. And so, I love being a month ahead for stuff like that. And the auto pay on bills.
That's such a practical example. I love that. Yeah, we started doing that. I think it happened. We used to do once a week, and then I think what happened was we went to all online. Like we don't shop in the store. We do online pickup. We do at 3 different stores though. So like my wife will do the shopping for once a month, and we'll go to Walmart and Aldi, and some things are cheaper. But we'll go to those 2 places, and I just pick it up. And then every week we go to the Kroger, which is closer to me, also online pickup. So that's pretty great. But yeah, switching to the monthly thing is really great. It's really helpful. And then you get produce and stuff once a week. You know, that's such a good point. Yeah, I just kind of took that for granted, but like, yeah, you couldn't even do that. What else is there? Well, we'll have to figure that out. All right, maybe that'll be another episode.
I mean, I think we break it down even more in the video. So, and we probably ramble on for that topic for 45, 60 minutes. So we'll link to it in the show notes, and in YouTube, maybe we'll have a
let's talk about that. Talk about us talking about that for 40 minutes. All right, let's get to the bummer, the least viewed.
It's funny. I remember one of these episodes. The other one, I was like, really? We did that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So there's 2 episodes here because they're tied. They're both like the lowest, and there's almost exactly the same. One was on September 2nd, 2021. So this is an old one. We did one called How to Use YNAB to Budget as a College Student. And then the other one was on June 29th, 2022 called Working at YNAB. Okay, so yeah, I don't really remember doing the college student one. Is that what it was for you?
I had no clue.
Or is it the opposite?
I was like, and I was trying to, what were we thinking? I mean, like,
this isn't really our audience.
That's the thing. Even early on,
maybe it is though. If you're a college student, like shout out.
Well, we have some college students, but we knew early on the primary demographic is not college students. But
we're a bunch of old people.
I think maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm often shocked as to how many people are unaware of the free college year that they can get.
Yeah, I feel like we don't talk about it enough, I guess, because people seem shocked a lot. I see it in the community. Somebody's like, oh man, I'm having trouble affording it. And they're like, well, are you a student? And they're like, yeah. And it's like, well,
we get a free year.
You know?
So I think maybe we wanted to push that, but...
Yes, that's it.
I don't know. I mean, it's not like we were hard up for topics at that point. That was a year in.
Yeah, I think we were just trying to let people know about the college year, and so we're like, let's do a topic about that. So it didn't do super well, but that's fine. But I think it was a good one because college students especially if you're relying on student loans for some of your living expenses, is a really unique situation. It's really interesting. Like we talked about, maybe you get a loan disbursement at the beginning of the semester and that needs to last you. YNAB is perfect for that because you can plan the whole semester, you know? You have like a super variable income basically. So that's really interesting. Or maybe you work over the summer and save up and use some of that money for expenses the next year. I mean, you could plan it out, you know?
And I think there was a little of the, if you're sharing bills with a roommate.
I remember that.
What are the mechanics of that in YNAB? Because, all those reimbursements, that can get confusing.
Totally.
So.
Yeah, I think it's a great episode, but y'all should go watch it. Even if you are a college student or you have a college student in your life, send it their way. Maybe we'll bump those numbers up. And then the other one was working at YNAB. We were trying to talk about wellness at YNAB, which is a awesome program we have where you can get your employer to buy YNAB for you as a workplace benefit. And so we were talking about that, and we thought, hey, what a better way to kind of plug that program than to talk about what it's like working at YNAB, who is a participant technically in wellness at YNAB, right?
Yeah, we're like, hey, we're all a bunch of YNAB or nerds here, budget nerds. So, and it's awesome just talking about YNAB, talking about personal finance as we work during the day. So, why not share that with the rest of the budget nerd community so they can have that at their workplace as well?
I still think it's a really interesting episode. Maybe we just didn't title it right or something. I don't know. Y'all should go check it out.
That's the thing. There's all this like SEO stuff and copywriting stuff that just kind of, I'm like, boy,
we need to have more,
that's above my pay grade.
More clickbait in our titles, I think, so I don't know. Anyways, there's all sorts of factors.
But yeah, those are the least viewed. I guess we don't need to say anything more about those. We don't need to kind of relish the duds we put out there, but
that's part of it, man. That's how it goes. All right, let's talk about our favorites. I'll talk about my favorite first. Simplify Your Budget and Your Life, which was in January 2023. We let that one out. One of my favorite topics of all time. Plus, my hair looks really good in that episode.
Honestly, I've always thought your hair looks good in these episodes.
Thanks,
so
thank you.
But you must have been doing something exceptional that week.
Well, it was shorter. I think it's gotten kind of long now. I think I might cut it. But it was like, it was like to here. So it was like kind of, I don't know. It was cute. But anyway, that was an afterthought though. I clicked on that one when I was looking for my favorite because I was like, oh, I remember this topic. In that episode, we talked about the topic I loved the most. We talked about a lot of different ways to simplify your financial life, but I was mostly interested in talking about simplifying accounts, getting down to one checking account, one savings, and all the implications there. I just love that topic. I just like talking about it.
I love that topic as well. It's not like a core tenet around here, but we do preach it quite a bit because, especially if you've embraced the YNAB method, you're all in on this system. Simplifying is just going to make your personal finance life and your regular life just so much easier, so much better.
Yeah. I mean, there's two things going on here. I think because we are so focused on tracking as one of the things we do, we want to try to simplify because we are more focused on accounts and paying attention to our transactions than most people out there in the world. And so I think there's like a need to simplify because of that. But also inherently, I think there's a lot of benefits to just having fewer accounts in your life. Yeah. And then later in the episode, we talked about simplifying categories. One thing that came out of that was that maybe actually sometimes having more categories is simpler than having fewer categories. And then Ernie, you talked about, I just listened to this episode before now, so I remember the whole thing now. Ernie, you talked about your budget template, your targets, and how they didn't match your income exactly. In fact, they were a little bit over. And at the time, so again, this was in beginning of 2023, I was like, man, I kind of want to break free of that. And I just did because we just talked about in the last episode how I finally kind of let go of that needing to match perfectly. And I'm really it's really interesting that it took like a year and 9 months for that to happen. But
Hey, who's keeping track?
We'll see how it goes. I'm not sure how I'm going to completely land because I'm still, like I said in the episode, I'm still kind of in flux on a lot of things. But yeah, I thought that was kind of an interesting little nod to just an episode ago, you know?
Yeah.
So listen to that.
And the other thing,
interested.
Yeah, the other thing I'm thinking here, you know, with simplifying, the other reason that we keep bringing this up over and over again is I think just as humans, things naturally drift towards complexity.
Totally.
You know, you look at your closet. Yeah, disorganized. You know, I'll go into my closet after 9 months and like, oh, all these different shirts that I've accumulated and clothes that I don't wear anymore. So I got to thin it out.
Right.
And the same is true with personal finance. Just, you know, you pick up these extra cards, maybe for bonus reasons, or you were traveling for a big, you know, there's a big trip. So you got all these credit cards to redeem the points and stuff like that. Or you opened a whole bunch of savings accounts for those bonuses. I mean, that's natural to do that stuff, but then we need to take pause and just reevaluate everything. You know, are these still serving a purpose? Can we consolidate? Like, what different can we do here? And if you decide, hey, this all has utility in my life, well, then you just keep going, keep doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But I think it's good to pause and at least put everything on the table and reconsider.
Yeah, that's really what it is just kind of having a process to evaluate every so often because, yeah, things just kind of happen and things tend toward disorder. So they need energy to put them back in. So, yeah, really interesting. All right, Ernie, what's your favorite?
My favorite were the 2 live Q&As we did.
Yeah.
I think we've only done 2.
I think so, yeah.
We did these back in February 2023 and then November 2023. So we went on YouTube Live and answered questions on the fly from the budget nerd community. And I love that format, probably because I'm a teacher.
Yeah, you're totally comfortable in that because that's what you do.
So I just love answering questions on the fly. And it's really fun to be able to interact well, not in person, but live with the community, because usually it's just done via email or in the YouTube comment section.
Exactly.
But here we were almost face to face with a whole bunch of folks, and that was just a lot of fun. Yeah,
it's really special. We should do that again. In fact, we are doing a live.
I think we are planning one.
Yeah, at the end of October, middle October. So, you can look forward to that. We have some stuff to talk about there. So, and then we'll answer questions, of course. So, yeah, I really enjoy those too. There's just something about being live. I feel like there's less expectation to be like super polished too, so you can kind of let loose a little bit.
Yeah, totally.
Not that we're like super polished on here or anything, but you know, you can kind of, I don't know. It's just a fun vibe when you're live. So, by the way, if I can plug a little bit, over on Facebook, 10 a.m. Eastern every Thursday, I do a little live thing, like 10 minutes. So check that out if you want. It's really fun.
They're fantastic. You take good budget nerd material, recycle it over there, or you develop new budget nerd material. You know, you're tossing an idea around or a blog post around, you throw it out there live for 10 minutes, and then we take it over here and ramble on for 60 minutes about it.
Yeah, I do all sorts of different kind of content. I do that live. I do blogs. I do curriculum and emails and stuff. And I also do budget nerds. So like they all kind of feed each other in a nice way. You know, if one works one place, it might work out somewhere else. And and I see the lives as like a great place to experiment with something. If I have a totally wacky idea, I'll try it there. I don't get a whole lot of live interaction on Facebook, but apparently a lot of people are watching the video afterward. So it's mostly like when I say I'm going to see if it works, it's mostly just me seeing if I can talk about it for 10 minutes and get excited about it. If I don't, then I'm like, well, that didn't work, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
But it is fun just to turn on the camera, turn on the mic, see what comes out, go with it.
And even this episode, Budget Nerds, I mean, it feels live because we don't edit real hard. I mean, it's pretty much unedited except for like, I don't know, if I burp or something.
My throat clears.
Yeah.
I try to mute those out though.
Yeah.
Okay. So most viewed, least viewed, Ben's favorite, my favorite. Now we're on to the video that got the most comments.
Yeah, which happens to be the same as the first episode, which I wonder if it has the most comments because it's the first episode. Like people go back and watch it and then they comment
Actually,
on it.
The most comments is the same as the emergency fund versus the month ahead.
Oh, it is. Oh,
yep.
I misunderstood. Yep. Oh, yeah. This is the second most comments. That's what it is. Yeah. Okay.
And that's not shocking to me.
No.
So just because I think people were very opinionated, they had some thoughts around that idea. So that was fun.
That's right.
So we're not going to talk more about that one. So we went on to the second most commented video.
That's
the monthly budget rollover.
Yeah, which happens to be the first one on at the end of August 2020. And what I love about that episode is we kind of explain the purpose of Budget Nerds. I watched it again and I'm like, oh yeah, that's why we're doing this. It was kind of a nice reminder, you know?
Yeah.
It's what we say at the beginning of every episode where we're like, you're not alone, right? We explain like, this is an outlet for people who want to talk about YNABing, but it's hard because most people in your life just don't get it.
Right. Or they're sick of hearing you talk about it again and again and again.
Yeah. So if you feel like you're a little bit alone, you can come and listen to us talk about it and talk to other people in the comments. That was what we were thinking. Because we, at the time, and I think we've grown in this quite a bit, but at the time we had a lot of content for new YNABers, but not a whole lot of content for like people who have been using YNAB for years. And so that was what we're going for here, and I think that's what we found. And but if you're new too, I mean, I love that too, because we also hear from people who are like, yeah, I found Budget Nerds first, and I was like enjoying this podcast because I was a personal finance nerd anyway, or people that are brand new to YNAB and were inspired by this, or people that used YNAB for a while and kind of fell off or wasn't paying as close attention to it, and this inspired them to look at it again and pay more attention to it. And all the whole gambit. But that was kind of the idea from the beginning, was let's do something for people that have been around for a while, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, back in the day, we don't do this anymore, but my friend and I used to text each other our age of monies.
Really?
Just because we just loved talking about YNAB. And we had this other group that we were a part of, and they just didn't care. Like, they were probably sick of us talking about YNAB constantly.
But you found your one person there.
Yeah.
You hung on. I love that. Yeah, if you can find somebody that you can talk to about it, like in your life, that's so nice. But you know, money's always hard to talk about. It's easier to talk to strangers on the internet about money.
Totally. It really is.
Yeah, and you can find a community there. So yeah, and that's what this is. So yeah, get in the comments. Let's make this the most commented episode. How's that? How about that? And get in the comments and tell us, you just participate in this community, you know?
I was just thinking a little bit more about the most commented video and why. I mean, I think because it's the first one, that makes sense. Yeah. A lot of folks, you know, we hear this all the time, right? If someone finds YNAB and becomes obsessed, they binge everything.
Yes, a lot of people do. A lot of people do.
But the other thing is, it's a really popular topic.
For sure.
Folks have questions about the monthly rollover. You know, what happens in the actual budget when we go from current month to next month? So, and I think that's probably why we started with that topic first, because we knew it would get a lot of traction.
And it let us talk about our routines. So I think it kind of established the show as like a thing where we just talk about our lives and how it relates to YNAB, you know? And we did that immediately. And immediately got the bubble bath image. So I love it.
Now I'm curious, because you watched the first episode, right?
Yeah.
I did too. What were your thoughts, your honest thoughts?
Oh my gosh, so bad. So bad. Well, I knew the production value would be horrible because we like literally just like recorded a Zoom meeting.
It was a Zoom meeting, and then I did all the editing, audio and video.
Yeah, we did. Actually, for a long time, we like passed it back and forth, or because we were adding a lot more visuals. So you would do all the audio, video, then you pass it to me, and I would do I would add images.
Yeah.
And then I'd pass it back to you and you would review it and then it'd be final. And it was like so many layers. And eventually you were like, I'll just take this. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah. And eventually like, hey, I'm not good at this. Like, can we pass this on to Trent, who is really good at this? Now we have
Trent who, he's the best. One time Trent came on. So he does all our podcasts here. So we have this podcast. We have Jesse's podcast, just called the YNAB Podcast, and then we have Beginning Balance, which is Jesse and Mark talking about business, and it's mostly just about their lives and stuff. So he does all of them. And on one of the Beginning Balance episodes, Trent came on and like spoke, and that was the best. So if you want to do that here and say hi, Trent, feel free.
Absolutely.
But he produces this podcast. Also, we should talk about all the people that are involved in this. So we'll probably, the whole team is really, but Trent edits the episodes. Thank you, Trent. Ashley L, who many of you know on YouTube and on TikTok. She is, what would you say, editorial help? She is
our fearless leader. She is our constant cheerleader, our biggest fan. She's in our corner every step of the way. Ashley, you are the absolute best for Budget Nerds. So thank you.
You are. It wouldn't happen without you. I remember 4 years ago, it was just Hannah and Ashley on the YouTube channel. And I believe the term that Ashley said was she wanted some male energy on the YouTube channel. And that's one reason why we did Budget Nerds. So there you go. Oh, man, it's so funny. I just love that. But yeah, you're awesome. And Trent, you're awesome. And the whole community, you're awesome. Thank you so much.
And we have Tristan, who... He did the intro, and he did the budget or the YNAB Wins intro for us.
That's right.
We've been using that forever, and I still love it.
And then we were just laughing about how everybody reads into it's all in your mind. They're like, what does it mean? And like somebody said they thought Hannah did the voiceover.
I'm still convinced it is Hannah.
It totally sounds like her. It totally does. But like I didn't notice until somebody pointed it out. I was like, they're like, I know Hannah does the intro, and I'm like, wait. Does she? Wait, I don't think she did. But anyways, everybody analyzes the intro, but really all it was Tristan just found a cool song that's like a stock song that he took, and then he cut it up, and he made it his own. So he just thought it sounded cool. And we were like, that sounds good.
Yeah, it looks great.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just for fun. So yeah, so many people. I mean, we could talk about all the people that have come on, and but really the whole team and all the 20 years that we've been doing this. That's where all the knowledge comes from that we impart and and try to give advice. It doesn't come from us; it comes from the whole team over many, many, many years. So, yeah, love it.
Crazy.
And we're gonna keep doing it. I mean, we have to get at least to 999 episodes, and then we have to stop because we don't have a numbering system.
I want to keep going. Until maybe someone tells me stop, I'm gonna keep doing it.
Okay. I don't want to get too sappy, but I'm gonna go ahead and get sappy. I want to say I do most of the talking on Budget Nerds because I can't stop talking. But this is Ernie's baby. Okay, I just want you guys to know he runs all the notes and like all the planning, and he answers all the emails that you guys send. He answers every single one, and I answer some of them, but it's really Ernie doing that. And Ernie thinks about this more than anybody. And yeah, this. None of it would happen without Ernie. So even though I talk too much, Ernie's really the star of the show. Let's be honest.
Well, thank you, Ben. And I'll return. I mean, honestly, you are the best co-host I could ever imagine. Oh. And if you weren't here to talk, and you're not just rambling, like you are very insightful and smart. Like I love listening to what you have to say. And if you didn't say those things, I would just be staring into the camera in silence. Like there'd be these big gaps of silence, or I would fill it with something really stupid. So,
no.
But yeah, I think we're a great team, and I appreciate you, and hope we have a lot more episodes moving forward.
Yeah. All right. Well, get in the comments, people. Give us ideas for episodes because we've done 100 of these and we can't repeat. I mean, we can. We probably will.
Yeah.
But we definitely will. But yeah, we need some more episode ideas. Let us know what you want to see. You can also email us at budgetnerds@ynab.com. But should we do some wins before we go?
Absolutely. All right, YNAB wins. Now, Ben, I was trying to think back to when these started, and I don't even.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know either.
And
2 or 3 years probably.
I think the idea
At some point,
came from Ashley.
It was from Ashley. She was like, because we were wanting to tell more stories, and she was like, she wanted everybody on YouTube to do this, and Hannah did it for a little while, but it didn't like super work with her format, I think. But yeah, Ashley came down. I was like, all right, let's try this thing, I guess, where we read the YNAB wins. And oh my gosh, what a great idea it's been.
Yeah, I think it's been the greatest addition to the show. I mean, I think folks really love it. I mean, we've built whole episodes around YNAB wins. So anyway.
Yeah, a couple times.
Okay. All right. My win comes from Jono. Jono emailed in, I've heard you guys mention giving large expenses a test run. Setting the money aside for a few months just to see how it feels before you make a large purchase like a car. Well, using that as inspiration, we did the opposite. Oh, okay. I work from home and we live in town, and we started to think that having a second vehicle was a large expense and maybe that money would be better used elsewhere. After tallying up all the costs, my truck was costing us over $800 per month. Yikes.
Interesting.
Thanks, YNAB, for helping us see the vehicle ownership is more than just the car payment. But we were nervous about how we would manage only having one car. What if there was an emergency? What if I want to go up in the mountains on the weekend, but Jenna can't go? How will she get around? So we decided to test run having one vehicle. We parked the truck for 3 months just to see how it...
Oh, cool.
I love this so much.
I love this.
Just to see how it would feel being intentional. And you know what?
Okay.
It was fine. It barely impacted our lives. So we sold the truck in October. We were able to pay off the truck loan and a home renovation loan from when we moved into our house, and are saving around $10,000 per year that we put towards things we would rather spend money on, like big trips. Plus, we feel like we're a little bit more environmentally friendly. Going car light has been a great decision for us. I love that. So
That's awesome.
And we're talking intentionality here, right? That is the heart of YNAB, but it's the experiments that we were talking about as well. You know, we share these stories, these methods, some advice every so often, and then you folks just run with it. And then we get to hear the cool things that come out of it. So congratulations, Jono.
That is fascinating.
That's really cool. That's inspiring to me. I want to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, because it's like bringing it into real, it's bringing these budget experiments into real life.
Yeah.
You know, that was so cool. It was like, well, I don't have to drive this car. Like, we could park it and see what it's like. And that's what you did. And that way, if it was a disaster and you're like, we really do need two cars, you didn't make this big decision to get rid of the truck, you know? So yeah, now you know. Like, it's just, you do these experiments and you can actually make decisions with knowledge instead of with like vibes, you know? So I love that. All right. I have one from Melissa P, who wrote in over an email. It says, I've been using YNAB for about a year and a half now, and for the first time in my life, I know what each of my dollars are doing. Although I may feel YNAB broke sometimes, I have never had this much money in my bank account. My big win here, big for me, is that I have officially paid off my lowest debt and have snowballed it into my next lowest debt. And then there's 4 exclamation points. I love it. Seeing that 0 on that debt statement almost made me cry with joy. Oh, I have been able to save for my true expenses and a vacation coming up, so I won't have to reach for that bleep credit card. Thank you for letting me geek out with you. YNAB has changed my finances, and I feel like I can finally breathe. Yeah, that first debt, man. There's nothing like it. And then you just snowball from there.
And Melissa, thanks for letting us geek out with you as well.
Yeah. Well, if you want to geek out with us, put something in the comments. You can just start with YNAB Win. We'll see it. We'll put it on our list. Yep. It's quite long again. We might have to do another episode. And if you're listening on the podcast, or if it's too long to put in a comment, or it's not something you want to share with everybody all at the same time, just email us at budgetnerds@ynab.com. And Ernie will read it. Well,
you will read it as well.
And I might
respond.
Yeah. Ernie will. Yeah, that's what it is. Ernie will both read it. Ernie will respond. So,
all right, folks. 100th episode in the books. Thanks so much for your love and support along the way as well. I mean, honestly, we couldn't have done it without you. So look forward to another 100 with you by our side.
Thank you guys so much. Happy YNABing.
See you, friends.